Hello, everybody. We are back for a new Grooming Business Awards show, and today I'm welcoming a great lady from Australia, Mrs. Nicky Renwood. Hello, Nicky, and thank you for being with us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
So I'm very happy, well, to meet you, first of all, and then talk to you. Thank you, technology. So when it comes to grooming, I can definitely say that it is a family business for you, with 3 generations of your family working in dog grooming. So you literally grew up as a groomer. Can you tell me how long exactly you've been practicing, and tell me also a little bit more about this grooming family of yours?
Yes, certainly. Look, I think I started grooming in a sense from a very, very young age with my parents. We've shown dogs. I was born in the UK, so we showed dogs in the UK, and I dagged along with them and had a wonderful time. And I think that's where I get my what's the word, fastidiousness from, I suppose, of just excellence, is from certainly from my mother. We had bearded collies, so we certainly groomed them to the nth degree and stuff like that. So it all started a long time ago, my grooming, even just watching my parents groom their dogs all the time and stuff like that. So it started there, and then obviously, I went into my own grooming, and then from there, obviously, I had a daughter and a son. My son is older, and my daughter is now 20. She has always hung around the grooming salon. At the age of 14, she was my receptionist. Didn't really do a lot of grooming. She swept the floors, and she watched and she watched and she watched. And then she's the third generation of our family in dog grooming. She's now 20. She did my course when she was 17, and along with a friend of hers. And she's now managing her own grooming salon, and she has 4 girls that she manages. She does countless things to do with dogs. She has her National Dog Trainers Federation, which is the highest level of dog training certificate in Australia. And yeah, so she's very, very successful, and certainly looking at education. She does certifications through video already, and just learning. Hello, Cracker. And just learning, how to become a teacher. As you would know, education doesn't come from being a good groomer. Education comes from understanding the person that you have in front of you and treating them in the correct manner that they need to be treated in.
Exactly. Well, that's a lot of things for mum to be proud of, isn't it?
Look, there's a lot. I mean, in Australia, we do have quite a few mums that their children have, or their daughters, I'm not too sure if there's any sons, but their daughters that have followed them, and they're great groomers themselves. And, like Jessica, my daughter, she's now competing in the highest level. She already has some, runner-up best in shows to her name. Her first grooming competition that she went in with, she got 3rd best in show. So we're super, super proud of her. But she's also always been around the competing rings. She came to a lot of competitions with myself, and, we've always had show dogs ourselves. So she's not shy of being in the ring.
That's good. That's good, because that's one of the biggest steps, is to vanquish your fear of ring when you want to start, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Well, that being said, so you were immersed, and your daughter as well, now that as I hear it, in grooming. So I guess it was very natural for you to open a grooming school. And
Yes.
not just any grooming school, since you opened Australia's first international grooming school. So when did it start? Tell me everything about your school.
Oh, I don't know if you've got that long, Nathalie, but look, I think I was teaching, before I when I first started to groom dogs, I would say I was teaching. I started off that we opened a franchise with a franchise company. And before I knew it, my ex-husband, he would run the dog grooming business side of it, and I would go off and teach other franchisees how to groom dogs. And that was just sort of the deal we had with this company. So before I'd even set up my school, I was off teaching, people within this franchise, which was really fun. And it's sort of, that's what gave me my found passion, I suppose, to go, hang on a sec, I think I really do, enjoy teaching. And that was really before I actually started to formally groom dogs. And then we very quickly opened our own salon, our grooming salon. And again, at the same time, pretty much opened Australian Dog Grooming School, which, very quickly turned into an international grooming school. Because, as you know, back 20, 30 years ago, there wasn't anything really formal. Most people learnt to groom out of a Wheaties box, and that. So, we evolved really quickly, and I had to move really quickly. I wanted to, because there was no formal education in grooming, I wanted to follow a format. Now, I'm not too sure in your country if you know what the terminology of a TAFE is, or an RTO is. It's like a government school where they teach. I had my manuals or the school's manuals formatted to RTO. So I still followed all government rules and regulations, but I wasn't tied, there's hair flying around, but I wasn't tied to anything or anything like that. So that was Australian Dog Grooming School, and we made stacks of mistakes, and I evolved as a person, which was most important. And I look back now and I always tell my students stories. And one of the best stories that I tell them is how much I have evolved in my life. I started teaching, and I didn't even have procedures to give them, to tell them how to do anything, and now I have everything, and I can see the success. And so many people sort of say, where does your success come from? And I say, it's how things have evolved, how I saw the failures, well, maybe not failures, but they weren't educated as well, 25 years ago compared to now. I find it so easy to teach now, which is so much more fun to watch them and watch them succeed and watch them go into their own businesses. And that, which has been really exciting. So
maybe today, we are at a point that young groomers or new groomers, there is more new groomers that are into learning. 25 years ago, you would have said, well, you need to train, you need an education before you become a groomer. Well, I said, well, I don't need an education to groom my dog in the back of my yard. I mean, now I think there is an evolution. More and more people do understand it, even though some still don't, but more and more people understand that they need to receive an education before they start grooming. What do you think?
Yes, definitely. I think that's 100% true, is people's mindsets, have really changed. Grooming hasn't, grooming education as such, and the requirements haven't changed, but the privateer schools, which is what I have, and some of our greatest teachers have. And I know you've interviewed my business partner, Nathalie West, and that Nathalie and I both have private schools that are not connected to governments or anything like that. And that's the way it has always been. And we hope it will change in time, but whether it's in our time is another thing. So, but certainly it's easier to educate now. I mean, I'm older as well. Well, I think I'm older. I'm older, and I've learned so much about education as time has gone along, and how that people understand things better.
Yeah, well, of course, there is still a long way to go because, as I often say, our craft is very young. If you compare that to all the other craft that have been there for centuries, our craft is, let's say, as well, the way it is now, 1 century old, not even 1 century old. So we are still very young. So there is still a long way to go before we reach the level of the other crafts, isn't it? So,
Yes.
so how many students do you train per year approximately with your school?
Oh, that's a big figure, or a figure that can vary so much. And it can vary year to year. For what reason, I'm not too sure. And look, I have a lot of other aspects to my business as well. So it is a hard figure to sort of put that on, in the sense of, I do travel an awful lot. I travel worldwide with my businesses. But I also are heavily involved with international professional groomers. So I'm a certifier with that. So, Crack, I don't need kisses. But he likes to kiss. So we train a lot through the school. Certainly, yes. But then, I do go out into other avenues and other adventures, and do a lot of mentoring. I couldn't tell you, there's training and there's mentoring. We question what the difference is in respect. You need to sit down, of what we're actually doing, and that, like with IPG, which is International Professional Groomers, I mentor a lot, to make them successful, to make them find their goals. So most of them already have they not a qualification, that most of them already can groom and can groom very successfully, but they want to take the next level, and that's something that I do really enjoy educating, is making them understand angles and making them understand little things that they haven't found within their grooming salon, if that makes sense. So, and that. But yes, putting a number on it, that's I don't know.
Well, that's okay. Don't worry. I think I've got the idea. So you do a lot of things everywhere, which is fantastic. And not only with groomers, as I understood, you also educate staff in vet clinics and doggy daycares. So, well, it's probably the same in your country, but in my country and in many countries that I've visited as well, vets do have quite a bad image of groomers. So would you say that going in vets clinics and educating their staff allowed you to, make them look at groomers differently?
Certainly, if we just say veterinarian clinics just for now, like certainly veterinarian clinics, they definitely do look at groomers in a very different avenue. Grooming these days in veterinarian clinics is becoming more and more common. And I think as the owners, so to speak, which is generally the vets, as they are realizing that grooming, is quite a profitable business, and now they're entering into it, but they're starting to realize, well, it's not that easy just to find a groomer and get a groomer working, within their practice. So the veterinarian clinics that I have worked with, and a lot have been up in the country, in very remote areas within Australia, some of the bigger vet clinics that I've worked in, they've really, really appreciated the help and the understanding. And you've got to remember, in veterinarian clinics, most of their income comes out of their veterinarian procedures, where dog grooming is just a minor income. So they don't play as big importance in it. But as I said, it's certainly becoming, they are the ones that grasp the understanding. And I don't try and just educate the groomer that I'm there, or the groomers that I'm there to educate. I try to educate the receptionist, because one thing that grooming salons don't have a lot of often, not every salon, they don't have a receptionist. So the groomer answers the phone, talks to the customer, but where in a veterinarian clinic and a doggy daycare, the receptionist answers the phone. And if they don't understand what the groomers are doing, then they can't communicate. Then I try and talk to the manager and make them understand how many dogs is expected, and how difficult that if this is a triangle of a connection of three people, the receptionist, the groomer, then the manager or the owner generally. So I really sit down and talk to them as a team and make everybody understand their role. So my role is not just to go in and educate. My role is to try and make it all come together and let the wheel turn. Because most people call me in there because the wheel's not turning. It's square, the wheel is. The reception doesn't know anything and is not talking to the groomers, and the manager just thinks it's going to poof out of the air and work automatically, as a lot of veterinarian owners do think that that's what's going to happen. So, but in the sense of the doggy daycares, they have been fabulous. They're really successful. Again, it's not the major income in their business. It's a minor income in their business, but it's really exciting to see so many taking it on board. But as I get older and as I seem to get more demanded, traveling is becoming very, very hard. Not only that, as we all know, 2020 has, been a very hard year for everybody. And I was in the UK. I have a contract in the UK every year that I go over to Crufts, which is the largest dog show in the world, as the Australian grooming specialist. And we came back from there, and of course we were hit by COVID very heavily. I was in the UK in March, and that put a dampener to things. Well, I live in Melbourne, Victoria, and we're in complete lockdown at the moment. And so I haven't even been able to travel into regional Victoria. So I haven't even been able to travel out of my state. So what's been really exciting, and I think we're not the only industry that has done this, is that we've developed, we have to teach people to teach their groomers, because I can't be everywhere. And I was getting pulled from left to right to left to right, going interstate, constantly going over to New Zealand. I think I would spend, I would travel some years. I would be, traveling 6 times a year over to New Zealand. And New Zealand's beautiful, don't get me wrong. But as I get older, I want to stay home a little more and, play with my own dogs and ride my own horses and all of that. So we've now developed an online course to help educate people to teach their staff, which I think is so important because we can't be everywhere.
Yes, definitely. That's so true. And I feel the same. Getting older, traveling is getting older and getting that COVID around, it's getting more and more difficult to travel. We can't, basically France is probably smaller than Victoria. So we are not allowed to travel outside France as well. And now we have a curfew in certain cities and everything. So yes, I also realized that distance learning is now mandatory, even in our field. And it's very funny to hear from certain people who would say, oh, no, you can't do distance learning with grooming. You have to be there. They have to touch. You have to touch for them. Now are promoting it because they can't move from home. So they say, well, we have to do it online because otherwise we don't do anything.
That's right. Yeah, it is. I know a lady that she's phenomenally successful in Australia, and she is a presenter on a business that I have. And I introduced her and I said, just tell me a little bit about yourself. She goes, oh, I'm a little bit embarrassed. And I go, well, why is that? She goes, because I learned to groom online. I go, why would you be embarrassed? You turned out an amazing groomer, a beautiful groomer. I said, we need to try and do more distance learning because that's the way the world's going.
Yes, we have to evolve with it or die. That's it.
Yeah.
Or be left behind. Well, so you teach, you groom, you educate people, you go to craft, you do plenty, but that was not enough for you because you also developed a software for groomers that you cleverly named Barker's software. So can you tell me about it?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Barker's is like, I call it, I don't know, it's one of those, it became out of need, Barker's did. I worked for, one day, two businessmen walked into my business and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm either in trouble with the tax department or, they want to buy my business. Well, thankfully, they wanted to buy my business. And they contracted me to go into their work in their business, which was a pet super centre. So a large, had dog grooming, had veterinarian, sold big supplies, really big chain stores sort of thing. And so I did for 18 months. And one of the things they said to me is, you need to find us a database, where we can store all the pet information on the grooming and all that. And searched high and low for what I thought was suitable, or suitable for, not only that, suitable for Australia, suitable for our slang and what we needed and our taxes, and found nothing, absolutely nothing. Anyway, time went on, and again, I was in my, I don't know, I was in my mid-20s then, so still very, very young. I then went into my own businesses, back into my own businesses, and I thought, it's really bad that we don't have a software that we can use or that is super suitable. That is also a little bit, I don't know, I don't like anything complicated. I don't like anything hard. So I developed Barker's. As I said, it came out of need because I needed it in my business. So I worked with a software company and they put Barker's together for me, which was very basic. And it's been around now for probably about 8 years. And I've just redone it. To the launch is in 2 weeks' time, to really take it so much more into this world. So anything software, the minute you launch it, it becomes old, unfortunately. And original Barker's had just become old and a little bit behind the times. So we're super excited. It's had a mass injection of money and mass injection of knowledge and just taking it right into the 20th century kind of thing. And we're really super excited for in 2 weeks' time to have an even bigger launch. And some of the major changes in it is it will now be able to go international. Which is fantastic. It was developed for Australians by Australians, but now it's developed by Australians and it will be global. It'll be able to be used anywhere. Fabulous thing is it's designed that it can now be for doggy daycares. So not only dog grooming, doggy daycares, dog walkers, anything dog. Dog trainers will be able to use it, which will be really good as well. And that's so. It's really exciting to see the future of that as well. So I'm super proud of it because it's something that, like I said, it came out of need, and that's what I needed, and I developed it, and now I'm hoping that everybody else will need it as well. So,
yeah, that's great. I mean, there is not so much softwares on the market. I mean, if I talk globally, and a lot of groomers, not to say all of them, are really searching for something that is very practical and easy to use. So, well, we are waiting eagerly to see what you're coming with in 2 weeks. So you have to you have to share and tell us everything about it.
Definitely.
So, software, grooming, school, and well, we could think that you don't have any time spare, but yes, you still have, because you go on TV sometimes. And in last February in Australia, there was a show called Pooch Perfect. I think it was the first time in Australia, wasn't it? And
yes, that's correct. Yes.
And you participated as a guest judge. Well, I have to say, speaking for my own country, my own continent, I would even say, it is quite rare that a program offers us to highlight the real aspects of grooming. On our side, we are generally entitled to extravagant, exaggerated, very unflattering, voyeuristic shows when it comes about grooming. So, given the distance, I only had the chance to see a few clips, but I really had the impression that for this show, it was there to kind of restore the image of groomers and give like a truer image of what grooming is. Am I wrong?
No, definitely to a degree. It was good TV watching. It was designed around, and I certainly had a lot of input in, you know, what people were after and so forth like that into the show, which was really pleasing. So I didn't only, you know, appear as a guest judge, you know, a year prior to it becoming developed, or even it was before it went ahead, you know, just put the green light on to say, okay, let's start finding contestants and so forth like that. You know, I had a lot to do with the input of finding really what is going to make this show tick and stuff like that. So, so to a degree, yes, it certainly did build it's what people wanted to see, what the public wanted to see, which was grooming dogs. When I say to a degree, I suppose the negative side of it was there was just some bizarre cuts that you don't always get in your typical grooming salon. And one of them was purposely what I judged, which was called punk. Now, certainly punk, yes, we do colouring. Yes, we do mohawks sometimes in our salons, but it's not something that's done every single day. So, you know, it was still fun and it was still dog grooming, but they did go off the track a little bit, you know, and stuff like that. So I think the industry loved it, or the Australian industry loved it. The contestants were amazing. They were fantastic. The dogs were so well looked after. It was in the blistering heat of up in Sydney, which was really, really hot. So there was a veterinarian on board, and the dogs were just really well looked after. So it was nice like that. I would say my experience of it was surreal. I look back on it now, and I don't know, I spent like 3 hours in hair and makeup, and I'm like, ugh, I could do that every day to be pampered on for 3 hours, and I haven't done anything other than sat in a chair. So the cameras were unbelievable. Like, I've been to Asian countries and presented over there, and you are like a superstar over there. And I always thought, you know, they had lots of cameras and lots of big flashes and lots of fancy things, and they treated you like God. But then when I went on the set of, it was Channel 7, when I went on their set and how they treated me, what they did, the size of their cameras, the amount of cameras was just phenomenal. So that's where I say it was an experience of a lifetime that no one can ever take. That it was just, I loved it. I just, you know, they made me wear high heels like this. And I can remember walking in, and was a judge as well. And I got up to her, and I'm like, oh, I made it. I made it in these great big high heels, and I had to carry a dog. You know, I normally wear flat shoes. You know, I groom dogs and I ride horses. You know, we don't wear high heels, you know, and that. But I loved it. It was super, 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 super.
Well, that's great. And you think this kind of event could help to advance the profession in the right direction, because it exposes to the public, it exposes to the authorities. So do you think that could help to set up, like, for example, better official diplomas, for example?
I don't know about official diplomas. It's certainly woke up everybody to, What is dog grooming? Oh, can I do dog grooming? Because we certainly got a lot of interest with our schools, and I certainly kept in touch with the other teachers and stuff like that of how they were going and were they getting interest, a lot more interest while the show was going on. So it certainly opened up people's eyes, or the public's eyes, to sort of say, oh wow, maybe I can be a dog groomer as well. So it certainly did that. I don't know if they're going to run any more Pooch Perfects. I'm not really too sure. Obviously, even COVID's put a dampen on TV and so forth. So, nothing was run. It was run last year in November and then aired in February. But I don't think it would do anything as advancing a diploma or anything like that. I don't think it had that impact with the government, so to speak. Yeah.
Because in many countries, not to say all of them, there is no, and I think it's the same in Australia, you'll tell me if I'm wrong, but there is no obligation to have any private training or official one to be a groomer. I mean, in my country, you just open your garage, you buy a clipper, and then you're a groomer. So I don't know if it's the same in Australia, but it's the same in many, many countries. So I think maybe that at least it could help people and maybe the authorities to realize that there is something needed there. You can't touch a living creature. You can't clip or scissor or bath or shampoo, even shampoo a dog professionally with nothing. You know what I mean?
No, that's certainly true. It's I don't know. In many countries is the same as, like you were saying. You don't need to go and get a trade to become a dog groomer. There is no formal qualification. If you want to, again, get a sign that says dog groomer, and that is your qualification, which is really sad because we do take our industry very, very seriously. And, it's certainly, we're getting rewarded for it. We're getting a good dollar for grooming our dogs, and that, but, we're not being rewarded by the government and saying we do have a professional trade. And we do have a trade like an electrician, like a hairdresser or a plumber. Why won't they recognise it, unfortunately? So, it's a bit sad like that.
Yes, and saying that, I kind of feel like in grooming, because of that lack of mandatory training, there is at least two worlds in the grooming world. Like the world of those who don't care and would groom anything, anyway, anywhere, and another part of the industry that suffers from this image because they want to climb and they are retained, they are pulled down by this other world because they would like to show the world how talented they are, how serious this business, this craft is. So I have the feeling that there is really at least two worlds in this world, and one of them is pulling down the other, isn't it?
I 100% agree with you. I think there is definitely two worlds, but in anything there is two worlds. I mean, well, there's more than two. There's a very low level. So let's take cars, for instance. I won't call off names because I know you probably won't know some of our names of cars, but there's a smaller, cheaper car. Right up to, a BMW or a Mercedes-Benz or there's even better cars than those again. So there's levels in cars. And when I try to teach my students, I try to tell them, what level of business do you want to be? That level doesn't just become by charging a high amount of money. That level comes with, you need to have to qualify yourself. You need to have good education. You need to have to present yourself well. You can't just get around with a dirty old T-shirt on and stuff like that. So you are right. You are saying, that there's two levels. Now it's up to us. I believe the salon that my daughter Jessica, that she manages, I believe we are what we call high end. Whenever I talk about my grooming salon, I call it high end. Our first and most important thing that we have to think of is the pet itself, or the animal. And that's where I think the lower end people don't think as much, or they haven't got that education to care about that cat, that pet. Why is it sitting trembling in the corner? Maybe if I go up to it, maybe if I put it on its own, maybe if I take it away from all the rowdy puppies. That's up to us to educate the public that you can buy a cheap car or you can buy an expensive car. They've got to decide what one. I don't think yet, where I disagree with you of what you said, I don't think we're getting pulled down by them, by lower level. That's up to them if they want to be low level. That's fine, because there's a market out there for those people. Okay, there's people that are happy to pay less and get less of a service, use lesser quality shampoo. They don't mind that the groomer's not in uniform, that they don't have a nice smelly candle sitting on their front counter, whatever, or anything like that. There's a market for everybody out there. As I said, there's people that will buy the cheaper cars. There's people that will buy the expensive cars. The person or the client has to find the right person that fits to them. Now, our grooming salon, or the one that my daughter manages, it's a year and a half old. So it's only been trading for 18 months. We've already got what we would say probably 3 full-timers. So there's a demand out there for high-level grooming. Naturally, high-level grooming comes at a high charge. So there's people that are happy to pay the high fee. But don't get me wrong, we get our fair share of people saying, I'm not paying that price. That's fine. You don't have to. There is someone out there for that person to groom that dog. Maybe they might be a little less educated.
I hear you. I totally hear you, actually, because that's the same speech that I give to my students. But, when we take the example of the cars, even if you build a cheap car, you still have the diplomas to do it. You know what I mean? So, yes, which is not the case in grooming. So that's definitely what I was talking about. This part with no education at all. And then, of course, plenty of steps, because like a scale in grooming, you have the IN, and of course, there is a need for every service. So I was more talking about this part with no education at all and no interest in it.
Yes. So there's no formal education, so you don't have to obviously go and get one, but we're hoping that the people that are saying they are high end, they are getting what qualification they can get. Although it's not official, or some of it's not official, that they are still going out and getting that. But you're right in what you're saying. Yes.
So, my God, now I can safely say that you are a totally accomplished businesswoman. So, was it, or is it still a difficult road to travel to get to where you are today?
No, I've had a ball. I always say I'd never change my life. I'd never go back and redo it again, because where I've failed, and we all fail, all successful people fail, and you have to fail to succeed. Where I've failed, I've learned dearly. So that's just the path that is taken, in a sense. That's the avenue that we're given, and that's what we've followed. So I wouldn't say it's been difficult. Don't get me wrong. There's times when I've wanted to put my head in the sand and go, oh my God. But it's been fun.
Well, you are fantastic. You do so many things, and you are so multifaceted women, if I can say that. So it's been a real pleasure to have you with us tonight. And well, thank you very much, Nicky.
Thank you very much. I've had a wonderful time, and congratulations to all your success too. Congratulations on bringing this Grooming Business Awards to life. That is a fantastic achievement in itself. And, you know, maybe one day we'll get to interview you on your page, because you've had a fabulous success as well. So congratulations to you too.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you. And I hope we can, maybe with this little stone I added to the wall, maybe we will be able to build a greater community, global grooming community together, because I really feel like we need to stick together, especially in this world of ours now. And there is more gain in collaborating than in fighting. So I really want everybody to get along, work together, and, like, you know, being a big family. That would be my dream.
Yeah. And that's a beautiful dream to have, a really beautiful dream to have. And I think you can tell the successful people, because that's the dream that they want. They want to be successful with everybody. And I think collaboration is what is really important. Collaboration is something that we need to all do. We all need to come together, and we all need to help each other to make this a better grooming community and a better grooming world. And that's what myself and my business partner, Nathalie West, that's what we've done with iGroom Hub, you know, to be able to bring, you know, Nat has some amazing talents that I don't have, and I have some amazing talents that she doesn't have. Now, we brought those both together. We decided to not be sticks in the mud and not go, no, I don't want to share what I have. And we brought it together, and now, you know, we've shared, which has created, you know, something that is just out of this world. And this alone for you, this Grooming Business Awards, you know, is bringing people together, is telling people about their experiences and so forth. And yeah, collaboration. I think should be a word that's put up, and you know, when people realize that collaboration is a very, very, very strong word, and something that we all should do, you know,
Yeah.
come together, share our experiences, then we will move forward a lot faster, and we'll move forward as one, you know, not individuals, because all we really are is just dog groomers at the end of the day, you know, and we all have really little amazing qualities within each of us. And if we share and learn to share all those little amazing qualities, then we will all go further in the world, and greater for our kids and our kids' kids, you know, not necessarily kids, you know, it can be people that, you know, you've employed a 17-year-old, well, their kids might come into the grooming world one day, you know, and hopefully collaboration will make their life so much easier. So
Yes. Well, thank you so much, Nikki. And
we could talk for hours.
Yes, I know, but we can't. Well, people, we get bored.
Yes.
So, well, that was fantastic. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much.